Welcome to today's webinar. The topic today is concrete design with Dlubal API. My name is Andreas Hörold. I'm responsible for marketing and public relations in the company Dlubal Software. For instance, the German and English webinars, technical content of the website, customer projects, and so on. I will be the moderator today, and I will answer your questions together with Rebecca Goebel. The presentation will be done by Robert Milrath. He is responsible for the Dlubal API, and he works also in the customer support team. Yeah, and the same is valid for Rebecca. She works also in the customer support team and is also responsible for the Dlubal API. You can ask questions when you press the button with the question mark, then enter your question in that field, press send, and we will receive your question, and we will answer you. The other way is to watch the entire webinar and then email your questions to info@dlubal.com. Okay, that's for the moment all from my side. I hand over to Robert. Robert, you can start.
Thank you very much, Andreas, for your opening remarks. I'm very happy to take over. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you all to our webinar once again. And now I think we can move to the next slide and start. Okay, before we start, I will give you a small introduction on how to set up our API so that you can use it right after the webinar. That was just a small introduction. We have some previous webinars where we go into detail, and you will find everything here. So that you can start right now. Then, of course, I want to tell you something about the web services. The name API 2 has now become established. It's replacing the somewhat cumbersome API gRPC. So whenever you hear somewhere API gRPC or API 2, we talk about the same thing. The other web service we have, the API SOAP, also the RSCOM, will not longer developed. So it's just, if you start with something new, I really recommend to use the API gRPC. Okay, so then we start. We just change into the API documentation. And I want to show you some things here. So first of all, we have a chapter getting started here. For the Python client, for example, you will find everything you need to set up your client in the right way so that you can use it and try it whenever you want. Okay, the next is, of course, the documentation of the API itself. So that's just, we start here, we have our apps. In this case, we talk about the RFM. Of course, we have AirStab and AirSection as well. And you will find everything you need here. You will find it well documented here, and also examples. And sometimes examples are much better than just to read loads of text. It's much easier to understand. So you will find loads of them here. They're categorized, and so hopefully you find some helpful information here. Yes, of course, every example is also available in C#, but we will stay in Python for today. Okay. Next is, that's very important, is we have some release notes here as well. Okay, that's the last tab here. In the release notes, you will find loads of informations, what's in the latest version. And it's sometimes very important to read, because whenever we have an action required chapter in a version, that means that it's not compatible to the versions before. Okay, so there you have to do something in your code that it runs as expected. Okay, and last we have, of course, the extranet. I think extranet is, you know it, you have to log in with your login credentials. And here you will find the most important thing. If you want to use the API, you need to have an API key. This API key you will change in the tab API and Cloud. And here we have the menu API 2. And within this, we have a submenu which is called My API Keys. And here you will see all API keys related to you. And you need to have at least one of them to use them. It's important that you don't pass it around or send it in the community or whatever, because if someone has your API key, he can use it, and at the end of the day, it's could be monetized, and I think so. Keep it safe, let's say it in my words. I will show it today later on, for example, use it, but of course, after the webinar, I will deactivate it. So that's not a big thing for today. Okay, and what else do we have? The last thing is, of course, you get some support via our normal support channels, but you can also use the Dlubal community. There we have a topic which is called API and interfaces, and there you will find loads of questions and, of course, answers. So maybe this could be the right place here if you need some help with the API. Okay, that's it for the beginning. And now we can change directly in the IDE. I will use PyCharm today. Of course, you could also use Visual Studio Code or whatever. That's just up to you. The code will be, of course, the same. And before I forget it, just again, we have some previous webinars shown here. And it always makes sense if you didn't use the API before, that you just have a look at them, and you will find loads of helpful information in the webinars. Okay, let's start coding. I prepared some code files here, and we just go step by step, and I just want to explain them. And of course, you will see the result in the RFEM, and hopefully it works as expected. Okay, the first code we have, it's very simple. This is something just to maybe have a look, does my connection work and stuff like this. And I told you before you can use the API at all, you need to set up your API key. Of course, you could do it like this here. Give me a second, my account. No, I'm wrong here, am I? Getting started again, sorry. Python client here. And in our small example here below, you can see you could also pass your API key value here. That means that's the real API key, but you don't want to do that all the time, I guess. So we could do it better. So if you have installed the API, you will find in your virtual environment somewhere a folder called Dlubal API at Dlubal, and then we have the API, and inside the API you should create, or you can create, a config.ini, and inside this ini, that's just how it should look like, and you have a key value pair, and you just name your API key and then the API key value. The important thing is you have to set up a default value as well. In this case, these API keys are the same. So that means if you have this default value here, you can use the method without passing the parameter because of the API key, because it will always take the default one. So in our code example, that means if you have a look with the tooltip here, so you can, if you want, pass the API key value or the API key name, but you don't have to do it, because if you have the default API key defined in the config ini, it will use this one all the time, and that's how I work. There's also an important thing. We have the port here as a parameter. You don't have to pass the port as well, but it's like if you start one instance of RFEM, that will be port number 9000. If you start another instance of any Dlubal app, R section, RFEM, or RStab, it will just count up. So that means the next instance would be 9001, the port, and then the port would be 9002 if you start another one, and so on. So sometimes you have open several instances, and that you know exactly to which port, which instance you want to use. You need to define the port here. You can see which port is used in this instance if you go into the options, program options, and then below we have some settings here, Dlubal API gRPC, and you can see here we have the server initial port. That's where it starts with, and that's the used one. So in the second instance, the used gRPC server port would be 9001, and so on. Okay, so I will close this one. I don't need this. Nope. Okay, let's go back to our script. Here we have the simple script you can use. At the end of the day, we just start the API, the RFEM application, and we just want to print out some useful information, like get application info, get subscription info. We have the model parameters here, and this is it's a method from my own. I just created this one to show you something. I just start the script, and it should. That was the wrong. Sorry, my fault. Give me a second. Of course, I need to start this script here. Okay, and as you can see, we get some print out here. That's the get all versions info. Here you can see the IPU using the version, RFEM, and the Python. And also you can see the API key. What's very important here is that the API version and the Dlubal app version should match with the last numbers. So that means 2.13.9 works with 6.13.0009, and so on. Yeah. If there's a mismatch, it could be that it doesn't work. As I told you, if there's a action required somewhere, so we have some changes in the API and it's not compatible, and then you run into an issue. But yeah, here you can see test this always before. This will be done automatically, and you will get an information in the terminal if there's a mismatch. Okay. Also, we have this information. You get application info. That's just exactly what RFEM version you're using, and so on. The settings here, which language. Subscription info. This is interesting because, of course, as you know, we have some different subscription plans for the API, and every plan has its own limit. And here I have the free limit, the free plan, and that's normally just 1,000 requests per month. And yeah, you see, I'm a little bit over the limit. If this is the case, you will get telephone call, or our sales team will get in contact with you and just talk about the used plan, and maybe we need to do some changes. Yeah. Okay, at least we have the model parameters. Here you get the model ID, you get the model name, that's the file name. No, so that's the model name, and the model path. And the model path should be the file name, but if it's not saved yet, then of course we don't have a path, and then you get the model name as a model path. Okay, so that's just if you just have this one at the first script, you know that it's working, and then you're fine. Okay. In the second script, I will show you how we count the requests. Yes, we just talked about the plans and the request limits here. Yes, and that you understand how it works, I will show you just one last thing here. If you are in RFEM application, you have loads of methods here. Each method has a property, and that's the method type. And as long as the method type is a core, this will count as a monetarized request. For example, get application info has a method type of service, and service is free of charge. Okay, so we've got only two types, service and core, at the moment, and yeah, so you know exactly how the requests will be counted. And why do I show you the script here? Because here I just double checked the requests per I use here. And as you can see, I start the number of requests with 2 because we have some hidden requests here. Whenever the RFEM application is used, yes, we will check the API against the Dlubal app you use. And that's that is just one request. It's a request of service, so don't worry, it doesn't cost anything, but it just counts. So if you double check it, you will have one request which you can't see here. And the next is whenever you close the connection, you can do that manually, but in the with statement is the close connection already implemented, and that's another service request. So we start with 2 here. So if you have a look at your numbers of requests here, and you compare it with the requests in your extranet, just here we are. You can go to the API sessions here. That just takes a while, and then you can see here that you have a session started, and then you can see here the total requests counts. And so this is just so if you compare, you need to know about the hidden requests here. That's all. Okay. We go back to our IDE, and yeah. Now we start to create our first model. Yes, that's something very straightforward. Just run it, you will see it. We create a frame, nothing special. Here you see it's doing something okay, and just want to show you nothing special really. And yeah, I start with the with statement as always, and then I call the define structure method and then the define loads method. And in the structure, I set up my the structure itself. I create the nodes, the lines, the members, and the supports. And in the loads, as you can expect, we do something with the loads here. And then we have created our frame, very basic. I don't want to go into detail here. You can see that in the previous webinars if needed. What's new here is we changed to frame move objects here, the new script. Now we have the possibility to manipulate existing objects in RFEM, for example. Here I just say, okay, move objects. This is new. It's some, yeah, I think it's some previous version, 5-6 weeks ago. Yeah. I get the object list of all objects, so I get everything. Yes, and then I just want to move this one, and also I will do a copy of it until 2 times. Yes, and I just move it 5 meters. So well, we are always working with SI units here. Don't forget this. And if I now run the script, you will see, whoop, that was faster than me, that I just copied this frame with everything 2 times in a distance of 5 meters. Okay, this is something which is yeah, very useful. You can manipulate, copy, mirror, whatever you want. Just have a look into the documentation. You will find all details there. The next is we've been asked to implement a method to handle the selected objects in RFEM in the user interface. So for this example, I will just select some things here. Yes, the columns and supports, nodes, things like this. Okay, so that's my selection, and now I change to my next. Oh, forgot number 5. I changed into the next script, and here I just want to show you we can get our object list again. Yes, I say I want to have all objects from my RFEM object and only the selected one. Okay. At the same time, I will do another get object list, and this time I just want to have the nodes. So I will always only get the nodes here in this list. So node list is different to selected object list. And then I will walk through my selected object list, and if it's a node, I will add it to a new selected nodes, so that at the end of the day we should have 2 identical node lists here. Okay, and we will give it a try. Oops, here we are. Okay, so I selected some things here, and then I said, okay, I want to manipulate this, copy this one 2 times, only the nodes. So, and that is exactly what has happened. And if I now have a look here, you will see that the selected nodes in RFEM 2 is gleich 2. That's the number of the list, node list here we got from RFEM itself. And then we created our own here. So this is just, if you talk about the request counts, yes, if you do a request get object list several times for each type, yes, of course this will cost more requests than if you just get all and then just walk through them and create your own lists. So that's up to you, however you do it. But with the architecture of your code, you can save lots of requests. Okay. This is it with the small code snippets I wanted to show. And now we can move forward to our main topic here. This is how we can manipulate the values of tree tables, and we do this with concrete, and we also will change the general settings of the concrete add-on and then the settings of the ULS configuration for concrete. Okay, We start with the material here. I will just show you. This is very, very basic. Yeah, I do nothing else than just create one material, create one new project, add that material to the project, and that's it. Okay. So run this one. Okay, takes a while. So I will just close this one. Don't need this. Oh, sorry, cancel. I need to close this one here. Okay, here we are. As you can see, we have created one material and that's it. Yeah. But if you have a look at the material itself, you will see there are loads of properties we can change, manipulate, and I will show you how you can do this, especially if you have some, let's say, structure which is not so easy to use. Yes, like the tree table here. The tree tables are always a little bit tricky to use, and I will show you how you do this. I will have a look here. We go to the CMindure, okay, and in the former version, or in the previous versions, it was like you had to create always the whole path to a specific setting here, the value, yes, and that was quite complicated, let's say, in this words. Yes, it was working fine, but it wasn't that easy. So now we have the possibility that we just use the symbol here, but what can we do if we have the symbol several times? So that's the one question. I will show you 3 different possibilities here. And then, of course, we can compare this with the default, with the very easy settings here. Let's say we use the specific weight and mass density, gamma and rho, and how we manipulate this one. Okay. Here we are. In the code, I have created a small helper function. Yes, because whenever we talk about a tree table, it's like a tree view. Yes, you have some nodes and parent nodes and child nodes, and so you have walked through the nodes until you come to your value. Of course, you can just print this out here in our terminal, but that's not so handy. So therefore, I just created a small save tree to JSON, and that's the name here: material values, for example. And here it's a little bit easier because you can just open and close the nodes. You have a search and it will stay even if you change the code and run something else. So that's just it's a little bit easier to handle. Yeah. So what do we need if we want to change something? We want to manipulate the material. We need to know the key, as I told you. For example, here I can say, okay, first of all, I need to define my tree itself. That's the material value tree. Yes, that's you have to figure it out which one it is. Yes, therefore you could print out the whole. I just do it once. Material, okay. And then you can walk through a little bit, or you just go into your material in the documentation, and then we are here. ARFM application structure core. Sorry. In the model, we need to go to structure core. There we will find material, and here you will see all properties and stuff like this. And Yeah, then you can see what's the return type, and then you know if it's a tree table, then you know this is what you need to use here. Okay, in our example, we are here material values tree should be found, and then you know, okay, I can use that as a material, as a tree table. Yeah, so then inside my tree table you can set the values, therefore you need to have the key. So how do you know the key? The easiest way is if you just follow, for example, the user interface and search for it in your specific JSON or in your tree table. Yeah, so it's a little bit tricky, but you will get it specific weight. We can use for this. We can use this one, and specific weight with strong F. Here we are, and then you can see, okay, in specific, then you can see, okay, specific weight. You will have several times, you will have different gamma, for example, and so you have to find, you know, with the caption, because the caption is always easy because you can see it in the user interface, use it, and then have a look. Does it make sense here? It could be used several times, so that's a little bit the tricky thing here, but that's not too hard to do. Yeah. Okay, you're searching for your caption. Okay, found it, and then you know, okay, I have to use gamma or I have to use rho or whatever. Yeah. Now I go back. Then I can easily use the key rho, gamma. I set the values now to 2,600 instead of 2,500, and 26,000 instead of 25,000. Okay, that's it. And then we go a little bit more down, and here you will see I'm looking for C-min-dur. Yes, just to remember, C-min-dur, we have this several times here, and how should we know now which one is what? Okay, so that's at the beginning. It's the first. It's the same. What you can do is you can also say get values by key. If we do this, you will see it in the printout. You will get all occurrences of that key shown with the path. I go into details later on, and then we print this out. This pprint is just it's a nicer format of printout in the terminal. Okay. And then you can set that value. And we have here several possibilities now. Common tree table, set values by key. If I do it this way, I just set my new value. I will say this one is C-min-dur. It's 0.091. And the occurrence is number 4. We start with 1. It's not an index starting with 0. It's an occurrence with 4 starting with 1. Okay. I can also say set the occurrence to 18, yeah, and that I will show. That means it will jump over chapters or parent nodes. It will just count, yeah, without any logic. And what we can also do is we set the value here. In this case, we define a path, and this path is, that's the important thing here, where structural class number S2, and there the value should be 092. Okay, I just want to show you this, and then it might be easier for you to understand. Just open this one. If you run the script, you have to reopen the window again. Otherwise, it's not taken into account in the user interface. And we go here. And now you can see we have C-min-dur here. Okay. So we said the first one was occurrence number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the 91. Yeah. Then we said, okay, we will have number 18. Occurrency is 18, and that should be 93, which is also right. This is 7 plus 7, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means you can just use the occurrency. It doesn't matter in which chapter it is or in which parent node, tree node. It doesn't matter. It's just counts from top to down. Okay. And then we have the possibility, that's this here, this value. We defined the path. So that means we can define the path to this specific chapter, and then it starts inside the chapter to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is also right. I will show it again in the code here. As you can see, 91 was occurrency 4. Then we had 93, which is occurrency 18, and we had 92 with the path and the occurrency. So how do you know the path to it? And this is something you will get with this get here on the top. That was the reason that I made this one. I said, give me all C-Mendur, and if you have a look at the get values by key, yes. If you say returns path is true, which is done here, okay, then you will get all paths shown like this here, okay. So this is all occurrency, C-Mendur, and this is the specific path always, okay? And in our example, we wanted to use the S2 at the end, so we have to figure out which one is S2, and then we can use this one here. Yeah, we can see, okay, in S2, it comes up several times, 7 times, and then you can just copy the path and then set the occurrency, okay? To keep this simple, we will provide this the key values in the future version as a tooltip. Yes, so this will make life a little bit easier if you're developing via the API. But if you're a little bit into it, then you will get it anyway. Okay, so that was the modification for the C-Mendur values. And of course, just to make a double check, we also changed the values here from 25 to 26, or 2,600 to instead of 2,500. Okay, fine. Let's move on. We go to the next chapter. We close this one. It's not needed anymore. And here we are, as I told you, we want to create a project. I will do it right now. Just have a look here. Okay. Here we will do some modifications also in the tree table. And this is for the concrete add-on. So we will do some changes here in the global concrete design settings. And then we will do some changes in the ultimate configuration. And you will see here it's getting very complex with the tree table because you have some hidden settings, and but this will be shown. Okay, we start with the concrete. It's quite easy with the global concrete settings. We go in our code here. I will close this one. Global settings. Okay. And here you can see I just played around and tested a little bit, and this is not, that's just a part of it. So you have loads of different settings here. Yes. Yeah, but it's not too bad. You will get used to it. Okay, so we say again, we get the global concrete design settings tree. Yes, and yeah, you just have to define this one here as a return value. You get the tree table, and this tree table is also, I use the same helper function as before. I save this to global concrete design settings tree. Let's have a look. Global concrete design settings tree. Here we are, and then you can see you've got loads of values here. Yeah. But it's not that bad. So we can have a look here. For example, the fatigue. How do I find the key? That's always the question. I'm in my UI, and for example, I'm looking for the fatigue here. Then I just have a look for it. Fatigue. Okay. So again, I go in my Steuerung F, and then here you see, here we are. There you can see, okay, we have the caption, which is always the easiest way to find, and then we have the key, and then you know, okay, I have this key. We have a bool value here, false or true, and that's it. And then, as you can see, okay, you can see I've got the configuration ULS here. I have the SLS and all the other things. We will just have a look that we. Okay, I will disable this one here, fatigue, and maybe we do something more. We go in the vertical division. Yeah, so how do we know this key here? Yeah, it's the same as we did before. We just move back to our Steuerung F, and then we say vertical. Here we are, vertical division in compression part, and yeah, we have 12, 4, 9, and 10. Let's double check. 12, 6, 9, 20. Because we didn't run the script yet. Yeah, so we just need to run it, and then we will see the where we are. Here we are. That's the Now we need to run the script here, and here you can see configuration ULS is true, fatigue is false. It was true before, and then we have our new values here. We want to define here, instead of 20, let's say we do, I don't know, 16. Okay. Run. And we can open it again, and then you can see here's the 16, and fatigue is turned off. So that's not too bad, but that's also quite easy tree view here. Yes. So I will now change to the next one, which is a little bit more complex, to the ULS settings. And here we have the problem that if you, for example, print out the tree table and you have turned that one off, yes, you won't see the child nodes in the print out of the tree table. So if you are looking for something, or you want to do some changes and you won't find it in the tree table you printed out, make sure that it's visible in your UI. Otherwise, you won't see it. That's important to know. And yeah, then we have some more problems here. We have, for example, this radio buttons here. Yes, 1, 2, 3. So if you enable one, then the others will be disabled. That's the typical behavior of the radio buttons, okay? And of course, since we do not have a UI, we have to implement this by our own. So if you want, you could set all 3 radio buttons via API code to true. Of course, this would end up in a mess. Yes, you can imagine. So you have to make sure that that it's up to you to make sure that there's only one radio button activated in a group. Okay, how can we do this? Oh, let me have a look. We need to find it. Here we are. Let's have a look. We create shear capacity. Shear capacity, we can have a look. Okay, here we are. We don't need this one anymore. They need to have the ULS settings. Our global settings also, just here we are. Okay, and this is at the end of the day very straightforward, like we had it before. In this case, you get the concrete ULS config as a tree table. Yes, you can use the whole tree table of the ULS config, or you just take some parts of it. In this case, for me, I like it if it's a little bit broken down, and so I just say, okay, the ULS setting member EC2 tree, which is just a child tree of the ULS. I define this one here, then I save this to JSON. The result is here. ULS settings member EC2, ULS settings member EC2. If we open this one, and then again, you will find everything you need here. Okay. Let's have a look that we are in the real. Okay, we are a member. It makes sense. And then we need to have a look for shear capacity. Here we are. Okay, then we have this is the UI. That's it's the easiest way to search for. And then you can see here we have below this one we have 1, 2, 3 values, and each of them is a bool, and only one should be allowed to be checked. Yeah. So therefore, in my script, well, let's have a look here. I have created let me have a look a little bit further down. Yeah, here we are. I have created a helper function again. Yes, in this case, I just create a list with the, let's call it radio group. So these 3 settings will be in one list. And then I pass this list to my helper function. Then I, of course, need to say which key is active and in which tree am I. Okay. And let's have a look here. And here I just walk through the list, and there's only one possibility where key is where my key is my active key. This list item will be set to true. All others, because they are not true, will be set to false. Okay, so that's the logic behind. That's much easier than just to say here, set it this one to true, this one to true, and this to false or whatever. That's just buggy. So I just decided to create my helper function here. And if you use this, then you can take control over the radio buttons here, like this one. Yeah. Let me have a look here. Okay. The next thing, what you need to know is a second. Give me a second. Yeah. The second thing is, before we run the script, we have to take care about some special things here. In the punching tab, for example, we have some settings here. And it seems that, for example, a grid is only, you will see it only once, but you can change it, for example, to the key, okay? And now, because I know that I tried it several times, I have another possibility here. And as you can see, now I have the situation that I have 2 times the same key here, yeah? And that can be solved, of course, with the occurrency again. I just wanted to show you this because it's important to know that you could have the key several times, but it's hidden, yes? But of course, if you want to set it then, you will get an error if it occurs more than one time. Yeah, that is just for your knowledge that you see, okay, it could be that this is not shown, and then you get an error and you say, why? I don't see the other ones because it was just hidden somewhere, yeah? And here, of course, even if it's in different chapters, and yeah, you can just use the occurrency. Let's go to our script. And we will have a look, strong F for key, here we are. And then you can see here, I know my key is key, and then I will set the value to 1.2, and the occurrency is 1. And then a little bit further down, I have the second key somewhere, should be here, yes, and then the occurrency is 2. Okay, and the value is 1.3. Let's give it a try. Before, I want to double check that's 1, 1. Okay, and now we give it a try, run. And as I told you, don't expect something to see here, some changes, because you need to open yeah, okay, I have to run it again. Sorry for that, because that's just when my let's just run it once again, because I created my JSON before, so that's just yeah, but now it should work. I hope so. Okay, now we have the key is 1.2 and multi-static. Did I do something wrong here? But as you can see, we have the 1.2 here that worked, and let's have a look. Why is it not working? One more try. If this doesn't work, 1.3. Now it works. I think it has to do with, yeah, when because the message was the window was open, and so it couldn't do the settings. So if you do the coding, just make sure you close the window before you run the script, and then you don't run into any trouble here. Okay. So, but you can see that works nice, and yeah, even I think, did we double check this one here? Use require enforcement. Yeah, also done. Setting is done. Okay. This is how you can manipulate the tree tables, and yeah, it's just a little bit tricky, but if you you really get used to it. It's just it takes a while, but then it's at the end of the day it's very simple. You have to do it several times, and then it works without any problems. Okay. One last thing I want to show you. Now we have manipulated the configuration for the global configuration for the concrete, and now for the ULS design. And now we want to come to our last script I want to show. Close this one. So, no, we don't need to save this one. What's up? Ah. Oh, sorry, I just closed. Give me a second. I have to reopen RFM again. I just closed it. English pre-release. Okay. I can show you what we want to do with the next script. Concrete design member. Okay, here we are. Okay, I will just create this one, and then you get the explanation. We now have the possibility, since I think the last version, that we can define several settings about the concrete design or its usage with, for example, members. And I just want to show you. It's very simple here. That's all. That's our model, and yeah, it's still working here. And the model, we create this one and do several settings here. For example, we just, okay, here we are. We have define structure. Give me a second. Don't need this. Okay, we just start the application as always with the port. We do some settings here. And then, of course, we delete all objects because we don't want to have them alive. We want to have a clean new model here. And then we define the structure, loading, and concrete design. We go to the structure first. And as you can see here, we just define the material, and then we do some special settings here in the material itself. Sorry, in the member itself, yes. And I want just to explain what this is. This is new. Now we have the possibility to define the durability for every single side of our member. That means I will just open the member here. Here we are. We have only one. And inside the member, now we have a possibility to do some settings here about usage for the concrete. Yes, let me have a look. Seems this. It's a previous pre-release version. I think there's a little bug here, but yeah, if you roll it out, this will be fixed. Okay, the concrete cover here, for example, this is new. You can now do your own settings here. Concrete durability for each side. So we have the top section here. We have number 1, or index 1, and left section, left, right, and on the bottom we have the setting to 2. And yeah, this can also be modified in the code. I want to show you the code right now. And yeah, and then we do also here our shear reinforcement settings. We can define the spans here. And of course, we have 3 of them here. And we have the longitudinal reinforcement. We have also several settings here. And each setting, oops, that was the copy, was my fault, yeah. We have the settings here. We have all the values. And okay, I will show you how we do this in the code. As you can see, we just create our structure core member. And there we have several properties, new properties here. And yeah, that's the durability here. We have the concrete shear reinforcement spans. We define them here as a list of rows, and these rows then will be mapped to the right format here. So we get a concrete shear reinforcement spans table with that as a content. And the same we do with the longitudinal reinforcement items. At the end of the day, we don't pass the parameter number here. It's not necessary because that will be automatically done if we don't define it. For example, we could, yes, but we don't need to do it. And if we don't do it, this will be done from the API itself. Then we have the concrete longitudinal reinforcement items rows, as you have seen in the user interface. And that's very straightforward. It's not that complicated. You just have to get used to it, read the documentation, and we will see we provide all the enum types you need to use. And yes, then you can do your settings here. Here we define the concrete durability. That's number 1. That's number 2. Yeah, and that's it. Then at the end of the day, here, of course, we do some settings, the concrete design ULS configuration. That's for all members, for example. Yeah, that's just, I think I showed you that before. It's a very good example, and now you're able to, yeah, define all the settings you need, and you get a very good result if you do the concrete design, I hope. Okay, let's go back. Here, again, we just open the members here, as you can. Here we are, cross-section well. Let me have a look. Concrete cover, here we are. Okay, here we have all the settings I told you. You can set the concrete cover. That's also done in the code. We have the shear reinforcements. These are the rows we added with the specific values here defined. You will find them here. Same with longitudinal reinforcement. And of course, we did some settings here. Okay. And yeah, that's very, very easy to use. Yeah, that's well done, I guess, from our development team here. Yeah. Of course, here we have somewhere the settings for the reinforcement for the concrete durabilities. We also added them in the code. I showed you that. And yeah, just if you have the code on your machine and you just run it, you will get an idea how it works. It's not that complex. Okay, I think Let me have a look in my script. Okay. Yes. I think we are done for today. I showed you all I wanted to show. I'm a little bit over time, a few minutes. Sorry for that. But yeah, I think we've covered the material quite well. So I will now hand back to my colleague Andreas, and I say thank you very much for your attention. Bye.
Thank you, Robert, for your nice presentation. I have an additional hint to our online courses. There's the HFM6 course. It's a course for beginners. Then the Eurocode 2 course for the concrete design with HFM6. The Eurocode 3 course for the steel design. The Eurocode 5 course for the timber design. And the Eurocode 8 course for the earthquake design. For more information, just scan the QR codes or click at the links. You can get such a course for free when you submit your customer project. And when we publish it, then you will receive a course that is valued up to 399 euros. Just click at the button or scan the QR code. Alternatively, you can write me an email to info@dlubal.com, and I will write you back what files I need. Then a hint to our free online services. Whereas, for example, the Dlubal community, you can ask questions there, and other users or members or our employees will answer you. Then there's the GeoZone tool for the determination of snow, wind, and earthquake loads. Then you can determine cross-section properties. You can download 3D models, for example, as a template for your project. And you can download our free trial versions, versions of HFM6, RSTART 9, RWind3, or RSection. And the versions are full versions, and you can test them for 90 days. You can explore all our free services when you click at the link here or scan the QR code. More information can you find on our website, dlubal.com. For example, our recorded webinars, the knowledge base articles. You can ask our AI assistant, Mia, all the time. Just try it. Okay, that should be also all from my side. I thank you for your attention. Thanks again, Robert, for your presentation. Thanks, Rebecca, for answering the questions. I wish all a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.